Oh, hello. Bastian here. Fancy a little chat about something thrilling? No, not about my neighbor Frau Brooks' latest attempt at avant-garde gardening, but something almost as exciting: taxes. Now, don't run away. I promise this will be more fun than you think. Imagine this. You're planning to buy a shiny new coffee machine for your cafe, or a new delivery van. Perhaps one that doesn't make that strange rattling noise every time you turn left. Normally, you buy the thing, and then, slowly, over many years, you get to deduct it from your taxes. It's a bit like telling a joke and having to wait 3 years for the punchline. Tedious, isn't it? But what if I told you there's a magic trick? A little something the German tax office, in a rare moment of whimsy, cooked up for us? It's called the Investitionsabzugsbetrag, or IAB for short. Say it with me. Investitionsabzugsbetrag. Sounds terribly German and complicated, I know. It sounds like a character from a Wagner opera who complains about tax forms. But it's actually a brilliant little gadget. The IAB lets you save on taxes before you even buy the thing. Yes, you heard me right. You just have to plan to buy something, and the tax office gives you a little advance on your tax savings. It's like getting applause before you've even started your performance. Think of it as a tax discount for future shoppers. You tell the tax man, "Listen, my dear fellow, in the next couple of years, I'm going to buy a fantastic new piece of equipment. Let's say, a state-of-the-art photocopier that can also brew a decent espresso." And the tax office says, "Splendid idea. As a reward for your forward-thinking entrepreneurial spirit, we'll let you reduce your taxable profit for this year, 2025, right now. This means you pay less tax today, which leaves more money in your pocket. More money for, well, for whatever you like. Maybe a slightly better espresso machine. The possibilities are endless. So, this wonderful tool is especially for the little guys, the small and medium-sized businesses that are the true backbone of our economy. You know, the ones who don't have entire floors of tax lawyers. It's a way to help you invest and grow without having to sell a kidney first. Whether it's a new lathe for your workshop, a fancy new camera for your photography studio, or even that delivery van we talked about, the IAB can be your best friend. It helps you manage your cash flow and makes big purchases feel a little less like jumping off a cliff. It's a financial high five from the state. Alright, before you rush off and tell the tax office you're planning to buy a solid gold stapler, let's talk about the rules. The tax office is generous, but it's not a free-for-all buffet. This wonderful IAB is specifically designed for the little fish in the big pond. To qualify, you need to be a small or medium-sized enterprise. The main rule of thumb concerns your profit. For the tax year you want to claim the IAB, your profit must not exceed 200,000 euros. It's a bit like a club with a velvet rope. If you're making more than that, you're in a different league, my friend. Sorry, no IAB for you. So, you've checked your profit and you're under the limit. Congratulations, you're in the club. Now, how much can you actually deduct? The rule is beautifully simple. You can deduct up to 50% of the expected purchase price of your future investment. Let's imagine you run a small bakery. You've been dreaming of a new super-duper oven that costs 20,000 euros. Using the IAB, you can tell the tax office you're planning this purchase. They will then allow you to deduct up to 50% of that cost, a whopping 10,000 euros, from your profit for the current year. If your profit was, say, 40,000 euros, it suddenly drops to 30,000 euros for tax purposes. Less profit means less tax. Simple, effective, and no magic wand required. But what can you actually buy with this magical tax discount? The tax office is a bit particular here. The IAB is only for new or used movable, tangible assets, or bewegliche Wirtschaftsgüter. This includes most things you'd expect. Machines, tools, office furniture, computer hardware, and vehicles. That new delivery van? Yes. A new set of laptops for your team? Absolutely. That fancy oven? Of course. What's not on the list? Real estate. You can't use the IAB to buy a new office building or a piece of land. Also, intangible assets like software licenses or patents are a no-go. It has to be something you can physically touch and, well, move. Another crucial point is the usage requirement. The asset you buy must be used almost exclusively for your business. The magic number is 90%. So, if you buy a car using the IAB, you must be able to prove that you use it at least 90% of the time for business purposes. If you use it to drive to the Italian Riviera for a 2-week holiday, the tax inspector might raise a perfectly sculpted eyebrow. So, keep a meticulous logbook, Fahrtenbuch, or the tax office might come back and take their lovely tax savings away. And believe me, that's more painful than watching a bad sitcom. Now for the most dramatic part of our tax story, the deadline. When you claim an IAB, you are essentially making a promise to the tax office. You're saying, I solemnly swear that I will make this investment. And the tax office, being a stickler for schedules, gives you a clear time frame. You have 3 years to make good on your promise. The clock starts ticking at the end of the year in which you claimed the deduction. So, if you claim an IAB in your 2025 tax return, you have until the end of 2028 to actually buy that item you planned for. 3 whole years. That's plenty of time to find the perfect oven or to wait for that new van model to be released. But what happens when you finally do it? Let's say in 2027, you finally buy that magnificent €20,000 oven. Now you have to resolve the IAB. In your 2027 tax return, you must add the €10,000 you previously deducted back to your profit. What? I hear you cry. They're giving it and then taking it back? Calm down, my dear Watson, the story isn't over. At the same time, you can now deduct the actual cost of the oven. But here's the clever part. You can reduce the oven's acquisition cost by the IAB amount. So, for depreciation purposes, your oven now only costs €10,000. It's a bit of a shuffle, but the net effect is a fantastic tax deferral. You saved tax in 2025, when your profit might have been high, and you deal with the consequences later. Life, however, is what happens while you're busy making other plans. What if you don't buy the oven? What if after 3 years, you've completely forgotten about it because you were too busy perfecting a new sourdough recipe? If the 3-year deadline passes and you haven't invested, the tax office will come knocking. They will retroactively cancel the IAB for 2025. This means your tax assessment for that year will be changed, and you'll have to pay the tax you originally saved. And on top of that, you'll have to pay interest on it. It's the tax office's way of saying, a promise is a promise. It gets even more interesting if your plans change. Let's say you claimed an IAB for an oven, but then you decide what you really need is a new dough kneading machine that also costs €20,000. Is that a problem? Usually not. As long as the new item is also a movable, tangible asset, the tax office is often quite flexible. The important thing is that you do invest a similar amount in a qualifying asset. The key is communication. You have to document this properly in your tax return for the year of purchase, explaining what you bought instead. Just don't claim an IAB for an oven and then buy a speedboat for personal use. That would be, shall we say, a conversation starter with your tax inspector. So, how do you use this IAB like a true maestro? The trick is to use it strategically. The best time to claim an IAB is in a year when your profits are particularly high. Let's say 2025 is a fantastic year for your business. Your profits are soaring and you're staring at a hefty tax bill. This is the perfect moment to think about future investments. By claiming an IAB, you can immediately lower your high profit and push some of that tax burden into the future. It's like a financial pressure relief valve. You smooth out your tax payments over several years, which is much better for your liquidity. Of course, with great power comes great responsibility. You must inform the tax office electronically. In your tax return, you need to specify the amount of the IAB you're claiming and the intended function of the asset. For example, delivery vehicle or production machine. You don't need to specify the exact model just yet. A common mistake is simply forgetting to make the investment within the 3-year period. Life gets busy, I know. Set a reminder in your calendar. Another pitfall is the 90% business use rule for vehicles. If you can't prove it, the IAB will be reversed, and that's a headache you don't need. Be diligent, be organized, and keep good records. Let's quickly recap the highlights of our little tax adventure. The IAB allows small and medium-sized businesses, with a profit up to €200,000, to deduct up to 50% of a future investment from their current year's profit. This applies only to movable assets like machines, vehicles, or equipment. You have a generous 3-year window to actually make the purchase. If you don't, you'll have to pay the tax back with interest. The key is to use it in high-profit years to manage your tax load and to keep meticulous records to satisfy our friends at the tax office. And there you have it. The Investitionsabzugsbetrag. Demystified. It's not a mythical beast, but a genuinely useful tool for any clever entrepreneur. It requires a bit of planning and a smidgen of paperwork, but the reward is real. You keep more of your hard-earned money when you need it most. So go on. Plan your future, grow your business, and give your tax bill a little haircut in the process. Now, if you'll excuse me, I think I hear Frau Bruck starting up her new industrial-grade leaf blower. Some investments are just a mystery.